It is currently 9:23. It's May 21st, 2024. And I remain in the workplace. This is a documentation of what is federal group stalking and monitoring, which I am subject to on a 24-hour basis. I'm documenting this criminal system that I remain subject to in the workplace. So in real time, the entity is amplifying plane activity right now. This is the reality of that ongoing criminal conduct, and this is the life-threatening conduct of a corrupt government that is continuously engaging in that criminal activity as you expose it, as you document it. And this is serving for, again, how you will provide justice to the ordinary target individual that has a right to not be subject to that sort of life-threatening, demonic obsession exhibited by a corrupt government that is keeping you under surveillance in concert with all of those that surround you. And they are legally referred to as the people of the state. And the people of the state like to hide amongst company names. They like to hide amongst the duties that they're engaging in. They like to hide amongst the American citizens that is the target individual. Wanting to appear and failing to appear to be in a substantially similar position. And that is by virtue of their activity creation and their simultaneity of conduct with the corrupt entity that's monitoring. And that is the entity that's stalking in helicopters and via police, fire, and ambulance. This is, again, audible activity. This is criminal conduct. And this is the same Melania Padilla who's going to lose her minor children, where she's engaging in ongoing surveillance on the venue of the internet, and that's impunity. And she fails at being a distraction. That's also what the entity will settle for, as opposed to me continuously documenting. While she's calling, that's federal stalking in violation of Title 18. It's criminal cooperation with the entity that is indeed stalking in helicopters and airplanes. It is pursuant to an impermissible threat, monitoring the documentation. And I'm documenting that same name, that she's acting on behalf of the entity, but Melania Padilla herself is exhibiting a personalized threat while she is repeatedly calling back and forth to engage in group stalking. There's nothing that she's talking about or any question that she's asking that is anything other than the criminal pattern of conduct. Understand that. It is currently, like I stated, 9:25 a.m. Maria Solis Alvarez is monitoring a relevant position while Melania Padilla is creating audible activity inside of my office while they are all engaged in federal stalking on this phone, aware of exactly what it is that I'm documenting right now on video. And that's the reality of this entity that's engaged in group stalking. I am currently at the specific environment, and what I want to remind you of with regard to the criminal pattern of conduct that I'm subject to, you saw the sunrise through my living room window this morning, and I am currently at 1806 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 6. I'm looking out at the hillside. The entity was engaging in the pattern of what is terrorism via directed light, because the engineered light that you see appearing above my head, creating multiple shadows surrounding my person as I walk outside at night, creating my shadow above my head, concentrating light through the peephole of my front door, creeping through underneath doorways into the depths of my office and into the depths of my apartment as I open the front door, appearing underneath covered structures in an impossible manner, engaging in what is the creation of mirages of light that is completely inexplicable, appearing in the shade, moving across surfaces as third-party group stalkers that are of a demon-possessed condition by virtue of that light activity that moves across buildings. That engineered light is what is covering the property. It is what is always present, and it does not ever coexist with what is natural sunlight. In other words, there's not some natural environment that coexists with the specific environment that I've revealed to you. I'm revealing to you what surrounds you, and you have not been paying attention to it. And it is entirely unnatural, and it's a scientific impossibility. So this is engineered light that's inside of my apartment, and the character of this light, which I will show you, is appearing on my walls. And I actually want to show you, this is how it originally appears. All right, and it is faint. Okay, but I put faint in air quotes because actually that's not faint. That's concentrated light. It's appearing at a distance inside of the depths of my apartment. Light that's shooting horizontally into your apartment is not sunlight. The sun is above us. It's not beside us. It's not shooting light like we're in an arcade, like a laser gun, okay? Like you're playing, if you know about Nintendo, I'm envisioning, if you're, maybe aging myself, but playing Nintendo and you're holding the gun we used to shoot the ducks. I don't remember the name of that game, but it's like, this is conduct that's befitting of like light that's being shot into your apartment as opposed to being sunlight that would never appear in this manner from the sun that is above all of us. not adjacent to our location, and shooting light, rocketing horizontally through our windows and through our doorways and underneath structures. Okay, so first of all, there's that. That's why it's appearing to be in a different hue, a different level of concentration, but it is nonetheless concentrated light. It is equally impossible, and it's also occurring on what's under the guise of supposedly a cloudy day. It wouldn't even appear if it was the natural environment and a genuinely cloudy day. That's going to have no light activity at all inside of your apartment. But nonetheless, you're looking at the same pattern of conduct. Same obsessive stalking is what is exhibited through this impossible light activity. Okay, but I want you to see, I do begin analysis and I am engaging in discussion in this video. And what you're going to see, and this is what I'm going to fast forward through it, because the more that I talk, literally second by second, the light activity grows, and it's very demonic. It's entirely creepy, and it is unnatural, impossible light activity under all circumstances. This impossible light activity is literally growing like algae on the wall in my apartment the more that I speak. Okay, so I want you to witness that. This is terrorism. As an entity is keeping me under surveillance. That surveillance system is evidenced through the environment, which again, the hallmark is the engineered light. Okay, so you're looking at what is very quickly evolving within two and a half minutes. This light is concentrated. It's magnified in size. The blinds are closed, okay? This is magnification of light that's spreading downward on the floor. And it is growing. This is the same pattern you see in my bedroom, where the entity is maintaining a light source necessarily, suggesting that while you're looking at the sunrise, as I'm capturing this at 7:12 in the morning, that at the same property 12 hours later, there's also a sunset. Through my living room window, I can see that the sun would be in any position 12 hours from now, which is what you are suggesting by virtue of my capturing impossible light activity in the same exact method in my bedroom, just a different color, moving, ricocheting, I guess, off of the mirror, suggesting that sunlight is shooting horizontally through the window, through the blinds that are closed, magnified inside, ricocheting off my window, and then appearing on my bedroom wall. Because that's exactly what you get when you're looking at the light activity that I captured yesterday evening during the 7 p.m. hour. This is the same pattern. And this is at 7:13 in the evening. This is direct evidence of what is stalking with the light source, the entity suggesting that the sun is in some sort of position to create that light activity. By duration of time on its face, 7:12 in the morning today, 7:13 in the evening yesterday, literally 7:12 in the evening yesterday. That's 12-hour difference. That's not the natural environment, ladies and gentlemen. This is the evidence on its face, prima facie, of federal group stalking and monitoring. Federal group stalking and monitoring is occurring in a very specific environment, and it is on its face very easily identifiable as unnatural, because the sun is not remaining at one address, one location. As I remain in my apartment, I work where I live, so I'm on the same property, and I'm feet away from my apartment. So the sunrise and the sunset at one address is a phenomenon, and it is not the natural environment, and it is irreconcilable with the natural environment. And there is no scientific evidence that will ever support that it is anything other than literally impossible. And I've captured the impossible, because this is what you have to endure in order to prosecute a corrupt government that's practicing demonic activity. Okay, so this is engineered light that's on my bedroom wall. You see it down here on the floor, and then it's growing. It's getting taller and taller, and it's coming through the bedroom window, ricocheting off of my mirror, and then appearing on the floor, on the wall, growing on the wall. That's my second bedroom. This is the sunset. This is 5:32 p.m. Okay, you saw the light source outside of my living room window, which you're going to see right now. This is the light source that's outside of my living room window at 7 in the morning. This is never 7:12 in the morning is this time, okay, where I'm starting this video. It's at 4 minutes, okay, so it's 7:16, 7:17 in the morning. Duration of time analysis is what you're going to apply. That is not the natural environment the entity is suggesting, and it is directly prosecuting the people of the state. You saw Maria Solis Alvarez walking inside and outside of my office. You know exactly what it is that she's doing in this environment where the sun is never present, as a matter of duration of time, from 7:12 in the morning until 7:12 in the evening, which again you have to document in order to prove that. And that's exactly what the P.O.C. serves. Evidence of what is criminal activity by a corrupt government. How do you know that it's the government? Because the government is always stalking. Specifically in California, using helicopters. And that's why I have such heavy presence by helicopters, by a corrupt law enforcement agency. And you know that they're corrupt because they're stalking. They're stalking in a horrifying manner using helicopters, which is a long documented pattern by corrupt law enforcement agencies that I documented before I even relocated to Los Angeles. So LAPD is acting in conformity to a long documented pattern of conduct. Okay, and so this is understanding what is the crime scene where group stalking is underway. Group stalking, let me define that. It's monitoring. Monitoring is demonic activity. Only the demon-possessed person is capable or engaging in monitoring you. Monitoring is executed through the creation of activity. Activity is relevant. Activity is significant in a very specific environment. This activity is created in engineered light. This activity is created where engineered light is present 24/7, not only during the day, but also at night. And you've also seen that where the entity is also stalking by helicopter, and the entity is maintaining engineered light inside of my apartment at nightfall, as I've documented, while the entity is engaging in an unreasonable nuisance, waking me up in the middle of the night, waking me up early in the morning. Nonetheless, that's terrorism while I'm being pursued in helicopters by a corrupt law enforcement agency that's devoting its time to stalking and surveillance using helicopters. And while I'm inside of my apartment, this is my same living room, and that's light appearing on the ceiling inside of my living room. Now, this is the same window. This is the same blinds. Okay. And you're looking at what is engineered light. It's impossible light. It's also impossible light while you see what is under the idiotic guise, the literally implausible guise, the asinine guise of what's supposed to be the sun and sunlight that's magnified in size on my living room wall as though sunlight, shoots horizontally through your windows, but also ricochets off those windows and creates light on buildings across the parking lot from it and onto the trees and onto the ground. This is all methods of documentation of engineered light that I've shown you. This is impossible light, and it's occurring in an environment where an entity is stalking using helicopters. That's the LAPD stalking by helicopter flying over my apartment at 5:17 in the morning, and engineered light is inside of my apartment as I document at 5:17 in the morning. This is the pattern of conduct. What is significant about group stalking is that group stalking is the criminal purpose is for maintaining presence on a 24-hour basis in a very specific environment, which is called stalking. It's an unnatural environment, and that's how you are identifying unlawful presence. Okay, that unlawful presence is identified through an engineered environment, engineered for the ongoing maintenance of criminal presence on behalf of a government whose stalking is also identified in that specific environment. And the hallmark is that the government likes to engage in terrorism using helicopters in California. This government is also documented exhibiting demon possession as well. Stalking in helicopters in the engineered environment is an outward demonstration of demon possession. But also, I'm documenting demon possession while these corrupt law enforcement agencies have engineered light swiping across buildings and swiping across the asphalt while they drive by me. I've also documented that. That's the same demon possession and criminal engagement in crossing and path light activity, which is group stalking, that is exhibited by the people of the state, coming onto the grounds like you see, Center for Better Life and Universal Waste and Tiffany Sherez, a group stalker that lives at the property. Okay, Vanessa Dries, a group stalker that lives at the property. Okay, and that's just to name a few. I've documented the engineered light that's on my ceilings, on my bedroom walls, that is on literally stretching across the carpet. This is engineered light inside of my living room. It's not different. It does not change. It's impossible. And it's literally growing as I continue to speak. This time frame of 7:12 in the morning, when you're looking at the presence of what's supposed to be the sun, you're not going to forget the fact that yesterday afternoon, the entity maintained a light source over my head where the entity is, again, present in a helicopter. That's the hallmark. That's the pattern that I've been documenting for years, maintaining an unnatural environment around me while the entity engages in a pattern of following me as well and using helicopters in particular to do so. This is terrorism that's being documented, and I'm letting you know the significance, spiritually speaking, the condition that you cannot see with your eyes is that this is demonic activity. This is a demon-possessed entity because this is the government. that is stalking first. The government is stalking in concert with those that are in that environment. That's why the environment is appearing under the guise of being a natural environment. And all you have to do, which is what the purpose of the P.O.C. is, to show you there's nothing natural about this environment. The light source is present as I'm capturing this morning outside of my living room window, not over the Upland Public Library while I'm on the bus route 83 driving northbound in Upland, California. It's not possible. And nor is that sunlight that's going to result under any circumstances. But even if you want to disregard the impossible placement of that impossible light activity, there is no sunlight that's going to result in that be present inside of my apartment while it's moving in alignment to me on a bus from Ontario to Upland, California, driving in the direction north, passing over the heavily documented Upland Public Library. Okay, this is the light source that's remaining over me at the same address in Los Angeles. Okay, you see the light source outside of my living room window this morning at 7:12 in the morning. This is captured in the afternoon at the same exact property at 4. I began capturing this at 4:12 p.m. You can see the time right here, 4:13 p.m. And the light source is remaining over me while I am at the same exact property. And you see what is present in the specific environment. Hold on, let me go back. Yeah, here it is right here. I'm at the same address. I am literally going from my office to my apartment. And just so that you can see, it is indeed capturing the impossible. I'm inside of building 1806. My living room window faces this direction. This is where the sunrise is at. Okay. At 4:12 p.m. as I step out, I'm down here at the office. This is my office. And as I step out facing the parking lot, this is where I'm standing. This is where Spectrum is group stalking yesterday afternoon at 4:12. And this is where the light source is directly over me. I'm facing building 1802. Caddy corner, you see the LAPD group stalking. They're crossing path with me, flying in this direction. After they flew directly over my office, I step out, I capture video. Then you see LAPD crossing path, flying in this direction. You see Spectrum group stalking over here, engaging in surrounding conduct, engaging in surveillance on video. This is what I mean by engaging in the criminal conduct in plain sight. When you are able to unveil the malice with which this demon-possessed entity is engaging in criminal conduct against you, where they are doing so in an open manner because they are assuming that you are not capable of proving that they are indeed stalking you, incapable of establishing that they're stalking you when they don't know you, incapable of establishing that they're stalking you together, all of them, where they don't even know necessarily each other. And I'm letting you know what is the connection. All of a population is suffering from demon possession. And you are witnessing that as I'm showing you the impossible light activity. You have random identifiers, random people coming onto a third-party group stalker driving a rider vehicle. This is a black male. He doesn't necessarily know anybody here. He's driving by the same pattern of engineer light moving all across the property. You have a stranger, not necessarily having any ties to me, nor anybody here, nor is it relevant to what is, again, the pattern. Impossible light activity moving across the apartment building while he's driving a vehicle. You have a third-party group stalker that lives at the property, Tiffany Sherez, and impossible light activity moving across the building while she's just opening her car door, moving across the building while she's driving in the parking lot, moving across the black asphalt that's not shiny, that doesn't have sunlight dripping down off of her car while she's driving on the black asphalt. Okay, and you're looking at a pattern of what is engineered light coexisting with what is just driving around me at the property where it's not possibly the sun, where I'm witnessing the sunrise at 7:12 in the morning, and as I walk out at 4:13 in the afternoon, it's still directly over me at the property as I'm facing the direction building 1802. And you see the hallmark, the presence of a group stalker flying a helicopter, which is the long documented pattern of conduct. 7:12 in the morning at the same property, 4:12 in the afternoon. That is non-movement of a light source. And then while I am going into my apartment after 7 p.m., the light source is in a position to be seen through my bedroom window, as though the sun would ever be present in any position. Okay, but I want to let you know it's not at some position to be somewhere in Upland, California, and visible through my bedroom window from Upland, California, because this is what you want to suggest, that the sun is over here in Upland, and I'm able to see it in perfect alignment with my living room window. That's what the entity is engaging in. And it's absolute asininity. The presence of the unnatural environment, 7:12 in the morning to 4:12 in the afternoon, which is what you saw on video yesterday. That's capturing the pattern of conduct. And that's what you see here. This is 4:12 in the afternoon yesterday, while I was providing you the juxtaposition of the light source remaining over me at an entirely different location, which is what you see above. Same time of year analysis, same time of day analysis, 4:06 p.m. where I'm at 215 East C Street, as I'm exposing the public corruption that is underway under the police chief over the Ontario Police Department. This is where I was kidnapped at 215 East C Street, and the entity is group stalking me, and the entity that's group stalking using helicopters arrives at this venue where I'm showing the direct evidence of federal group stalking and monitoring, and then they are feigning legal authority, exercising legal authority that they don't have as a stalker, as one engaging in criminal surveillance, and then kidnapping me, and then defaming me, criminally defaming. This is not civil defamation. This is time in federal prison for criminal defamation that serves to obstruct justice, because the entity that knows very well that I'm documenting their demon possession and their criminal activity in a very specific environment, which is a scientific impossibility, that the sun is going to be rising in alignment to me and present 8 hours later at 4:12 p.m., setting in alignment to me 12 hours later at 7:12 p.m. And this is documented over a long term. I've been documenting the pattern of conduct since I relocated to Los Angeles, as a matter of video documentation, since February 2024, when the entity sought to engage in terrorism to the highest level in helicopters, making it apparent to the targeted individual. This is them communicating to you that I'm threatening your life, that I'm stalking, I'm group monitoring, I'm group stalking you, because they were monitoring the whole time, even before I started capturing video of it. Because the entity wanted to do so using helicopters, that's when I began capturing video and images of the specific environment, showing you exactly what group stalking is, and that same system is underway in Los Angeles, and it's occurring in the workplace. This is an independent grounds of a federal prosecution. You're looking at crossing a path while Maria Solis Alvarez, a demon-possessed third-party group stalker who knows exactly what I'm documenting on my phone, knows exactly what I'm saying while the entity is using the phone as a means of audible activity in a very specific environment that's a scientific phenomenon. Understand that this is demonic in every regard. So that's a supernatural ability, in other words, which the targeted individual does not have the burden of explaining how the demonic is actually working, but this is indeed the demonic. The targeted individual, that is myself, advocating on behalf of the ordinary person. I'm letting you know what is the evidence of what is impossible, and I captured it on video. I have no ability to Photoshop or create this footage. And if I were doing that, by now it would have already, it would not have been, I wouldn't have been able to capture so much evidence over such a long period of time. That would have fallen apart. If it was disingenuous, if it was manufactured, if I was making it up. I certainly cannot make them come around me with helicopters. I have no control over that. That's stalking on its face, by the way, even outside of the evidence that shows the unnatural environment. The only reason why the corrupt law enforcement agencies are engaged in heavy stalking using helicopters is because the corrupt courthouses are not going to address that. They are facilitating what is group stalking in the state of California. But a courthouse that is recognizing the definition of stalking, what is a nuisance on its face, what is unlawful conduct, what is providing probable cause for what the law enforcement agency is doing in the first place. That is providing, by the way, federal probable cause for a federal investigation on its face. I want to let you know that it is suspicious on its face. But you have even more than that. The entity is stalking in the specific environment, and this is a pattern, not just LAPD, not just the Ontario Police Department that are heavily stalking, and then they're at the Ovid Family Community Library. At the same time, I'm showing you the light source that's, as a matter of documentation, you saw this morning, rising in alignment to me, stalking with light, that lets you know everybody, the whole population is stalking you, while the light source that's not the sun is in alignment, rising and in alignment setting to me at one address. I don't drive to work. I walk back to my apartment and I go to bed and I wake up there. And the entity is engaging in what is maintaining the specific environment inside of my apartment that lets you know that a whole population is group stalking you. It's demonic activity. This engineer light is indicative of demonic activity. This engineer light is indicative of demonic activity that's occurring inside of the workplace. These are communication devices where the entity is monitoring you on your phones. This is state surveillance. And this duration of time analysis with regard to the unnatural environment is what is revealing that crime scene that you are at, living at, you go to federal prison, working at, you go to federal prison. It's the highest level of malice in concert with the state that is clearly on video, stalking in the specific environment on a constant basis. Constant basis. Why do you have such foolishness? Not only because you're dealing with the mental illness that is revealed through the demon-possessed population. Okay, this mental illness, this is analogous to what in the secular it would be referred to as psychotic. This is a psychopath. And that presents a population of psychopaths. I'm not being hyperbolic. They're group stalking together. They're engaged in surveillance together. They're monitoring documentation together. They're still group stalking together. They engage in more aggressive group stalking the more you document. The phone ringing repeatedly, this is a demon that's monitoring. Coming in and out of my office, these are demons that are monitoring. Coming in my office while the entity amplifies helicopter activity, this is a psychotic demon who's going to federal prison thinking she can scare someone. In the workplace, somebody's going to pay for that, okay? And it starts with speaker companies and Todd speakers. Somebody's going to pay for that, and I documented that. And that's a pattern of conduct. And it's not only criminal conduct attributed to workplace terrorism, which speaker companies and Todd speaker are going to pay me for, but it's also relevant to the prosecution of the people of the state of California. That's the pattern of conduct. So I just want to make sure that you understand that, and that's relevant. There, at any point in the day, the entity is covering up its light source and then revealing it. And you also know that because the sun is never present from 7:12 in the morning at the same property and then present at 4:12 in the afternoon, which is what I'm capturing on the bottom of the screen right here. This is what I was recording, and what you see at the top of the screen here, I was comparing it to the crime scene, which is in Ontario, California, which is impossible to be the sun over the entrance of the same library where I'm at 10:30 in the morning, where the demon-possessed agency, the Ontario PD, are group stalking and then kidnapping me on June 18th, 2023. That's the pattern of conduct. Multiple angles of analysis, juxtaposition of the crime scenes. The sun's not over, in other words, the sun's not over the entrance of the Ovid Family Community Library where I'm looking at it over in my face in Los Angeles over this apartment building. It never was, because it was rising in alignment to me where I wake up in the morning at this apartment complex. Duration of time analysis. It's not the sun, it's the specific environment where it's a crime scene, the identification of a crime scene, because of the duration of time, 7:12 in the morning to what is 4:12 in the afternoon. That's 9 hours. That's not the natural environment. You're speaking to what is exclusion of any other location. I don't even mean any other block. It's not over the gas station at the end of Glendale Boulevard. It's not over any courthouse in Los Angeles. It's certainly not over the Upland Public Library. It's directly over this property, and that's for 9 hours. And that's where I'm getting to what's the implications for the rest of the country. What is over your head in the sky? That's what I'm speaking to. But I'm prosecuting the state of California, and that's where I'm going to keep my prosecution for right now. But there are implications for what's going on in the rest of the country. Okay? California is not the only state that's engaged in criminal surveillance and what is going to be recognized as terrorism in the United States. And there are very severe federal repercussions for engaging in terrorism in the United States. Okay, it is currently 9:50 a.m. And I just want to make sure that I document that. So I am subject to what is a life-threatening pattern of conduct by those that are calling themselves coworkers, threatening my life, coming to the workplace, and this is impunity. As you are documenting that, this is impunity while the entity is using a corrupt law enforcement agency group stalking. This is impunity while someone who is conducting themselves and holding a position, masquerading as you're some supervisor. This is a fictitious exercise of authority, and you're group stalking me. That's a threat to your life. This is the entity that's engaging in this, and you are relying on this for your livelihood. And it's occurring in the workplace. Understand the malice that's underway there and the impunity. Okay? And that's occurring on behalf of the state. This is no legitimate business. It's the malicious guise under which the criminal pattern of conduct is underway. And this is how the people of the state and the state of California engage in state surveillance. You're coming in, delivering packages in the specific environment. You're not ignorantly doing so. This is how the state system works. And also, additional evidence of the fact that you're not ignorant in doing so, those very package deliverers are stalking in the path with engineered light. Already documented. And by the way, where you capture that phenomenon once, that is speaking to what everybody is doing. It's not just that one demon. And nor is that reasonable to suggest. You have a light source over me serving for what is a population to engage in willy-nilly criminal conduct of a barbaric nature on a ceaseless basis. That's psychologically tormenting, causing emotional distress to a degree that you cannot measure. It's occurring in the workplace. It's 24/7 inside of your private space. It's a massive, unfathomable sex offense. It is terrorism, and it's stalking by an entire population. It's group stalking, and it's underway by the state. It's a public entity. It's P.O.C. Come in.
Can I borrow the key for the bathroom, please?
1803?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's nice and cozy in here. I'm going to open the shapes just solely because there's no